Hello, my name's Dr. Peter Brugger, and I'm here to give the presentation today on the talking projection, teaching that is not flat. Unfortunately, with the presentation today, I'm not able to join you, so hopefully you enjoy the recording. But if at any time during the presentation or after the presentation you do have questions to ask me, please feel free to email me. In fact, if you take a picture of the QR barcode there, you will be sent directly to an email. That'll be a direct link. Okay, so let's begin. Right, so any online teacher, or any teacher in fact, but any online teacher comes with a few assumptions. So a teacher who is accustomed to online teaching, they possibly will assume they will be speaking to motivated learners. I know for most this is a stretch though, but that is assumed anyway. They're motivated. These learners will access the class on a stable platform. So one of the platforms may be Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, Zoom, Slack. There are many platforms out there, but for today we will be focusing on Microsoft Teams. Another assumption is that there will be no interruption to the internet connection. Yeah, we never really had to think about this before in teaching a class, but there must be, or there should be, backups, because internet connections, they can go wrong, or they can break up quite easily. And also, a big assumption would be each student will be on a single computer or a single device and will be able to see the screen. The natural sitting position to a laptop is maybe 2 or 3 feet away from the screen. So they'll hopefully be able to see everything, but that's a huge assumption and it doesn't often happen like this. So I have sort of developed this framework, or come up with this framework, which I have, over the course of 2 and a bit years, I have called the single screen framework. So single screen framework is a pedagogical framework designed to ensure resourceful practiced teaching to groups of students who may, through certain intrinsic and extrinsic influences, such as their institution of learning, have limited access to communication technology. Okay, so what is meant by resourceful practice? Because this could be a little bit technical. Okay, so we might think resourceful practice is focused use of function, so technology. Okay, the focused use of utility in design, how it is utilized, and then the focused use of narrative, so the time spent, the lesson basically. And I know what you're thinking, that spells fun, because it is, trust me. Okay, but important, without selection of tools, without a selection of tools, the enthusiastic teacher runs the risk of overwhelming and disincentivizing student learners. In fact, if you just have too many tools, if you think some technology is fun, or it is interesting, or the students will like it, but these are disparate technologies, or these are other gadgets, this will perhaps overwhelm the learner and put them off, because we want to keep the learner motivated. Motivation, however, can be can be rather difficult, or yeah, it can be a difficult spot anyway, especially since with the SSF, with a single screen framework, you can see this is the student's point of view. So no matter how good the presentation of the material or how well designed it is, it is limited by the light in the room, the ambience of the place, and the projection on the screen. There are a few practical things you can do. Get the lights to be turned down, the tables to be turned in a way so the students can look and the students are closer to the screen. However, that can't always be the case, and to ask the students often is more disruptive than anything. So there have got to be other ways, other techniques to get around this. So before I carry on, I should show you my view. My view is a little bit different, and I have three screens, well, two screens essentially. One, the PowerPoint, the same PPT that I was showing, and then how I view the classroom on the monitor behind. So I can't really see the students. I can only guess that they're sometimes looking at the monitor or looking at the projection. So the SSF theoretical grounding. So I have adopted three theories to help me with SSF. So there is the zone of proximal development, there's universal design for learning, and then SAMR, substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So the first one is from 1978 by Lev Vygotsky. Sorry if I've mispronounced that. Okay, this is a social cultural theory which, again, he suggested that the learner may be motivated by others. They can help, other learners can help each other based on their own cultural background and socialization. This is what I try to include in class, or this is what I try to encourage others to do, to help each other. Anyway, Universal Design for Learning, UDL, is much more modern. It's more of a stylistic framework that is designed to elicit interest. It is designed to elicit interest from students and promote their how accessible something may be. And then we have SAMR, developed in 2017 by Buenaventura. Again, sorry for mispronouncing that. So this one is quite useful because this promotes the use of different ICT, information communication technologies for teaching, whereby a technology can substitute for another without changing the lesson's content or delivery. Instead, it can augment slightly and thereby challenge the student. This all goes back to fun, the function, utility, and narrative of the class. Okay, so some naughty students were looking directly at the camera. So anyway, I had to, this was taken by my instruction by a willing student who took this from the back of the classroom. You can see most of the students seated back at the back of the classroom. This wasn't really ideal, but again shows you the slight challenges. Not a bad thing, of course, but challenges that can be dealt with or surmounted. So this is one of the ways, in fact, this using an interactive game through the website WordWall, absolutely fantastic. This was a little bit of a comprehension exercise. If you look, the student is a bit further down here. That is actually because they were able to come up to the computer and actually take control of this. So if you look at the screen where there's a spinning wheel and conducted in a game show sort of way, there are two mouse cursors, and one is his, one is the student's. So again, this increases their motivation by getting the student to walk up to the computer, take control, spin the wheel. They select their own question, like, what does manipulate mean? Anyway, the students found it interesting and fun. And fun is the key word. So, right. So, going back to resourceful practice here, I have selected 5 technologies and aids to assist in class. I've done this because I don't want to overwhelm the students. I wanted to use these 5 to complement the class, to enliven the class, and also to direct their attention. Okay, so I had the first one was on accessibility, we can see. So accessibility, I first downloaded a mouse highlighter and got used to this. So the PowerPoint screen recording won't actually show the mouse highlighter, but you can see it here. So the mouse highlighter, this directs the attention of the student, the often wandering attention of various students. So this just enables the students to actually better see what I am pointing at or what I want them to answer or discuss. So I have a mouse highlighter, which I first actually found out courtesy of a YouTube video. Citation is below, from Stratford, which I found in 2020. Really quite interesting. Okay, I nearly exclusively use a text called Century Gothic, and that is in part because, well, from my own experience, I found that it is incredibly readable, but from an experiment, from certain readability experiments, Relo and Bezos Yates, from 2017 being just one, they found that, or they suggested that certain texts were much more readable than others, Century Gothic being one. And given my own predilection for that text, I use this as an excuse to just adopt that text into everything. This actually makes PPTs much more readable, and in fact this is the text that I'm using now. So, and also moving animations. So very simple on PPTs. Keep students motivated, keep them interested, have something moving or have something changing on the PPT. So I use moving animations. And then there's interactivity. So WeChat, I'll come to that in a moment, and WordWall. So remember WordWall with the spinning pinwheel that I showed you? There are several other games that I can use via WordWall. It's really quite interesting to get students interacting in various guises. Okay, so this is single screen framework. This is how I've conducted it. So you can see teacher at the bottom, me, and then the delivery media, The first one would presumably be, or is, the computer through the internet, and then there's the PPT, another delivery media. This is often two ways. This communication is two ways. However, if you notice around the side, there is the back channel. This is a platform that is not designed for teaching but can reliably ensure contact. This is often used because the internet, well, either on my end or theirs, breaks down. So the back channel is important, and for this back channel I use WeChat because of accessibility in China, in mainland China. So I found WeChat really quite useful, although this is the platform itself is definitely not designed for teaching, but still it is useful and accessible by students who readily take to that. In fact, I found it so useful that I often just talk to students in class, or communicate or text them or send them something whilst other students in their classroom are doing work. I will monitor other students via WeChat. Okay. And then all of this is to connect to learners and to motivate them. So this, you can read, is the scenario, and then there's the key in the corner. Okay, so how it works in practice. So this keeps the learners motivated. This is all designed to reinforce what they have learnt, to ensure the students can access the materials. So remember UDL, Universal Design for Learning, a lot of that's about accessibility, motivation, ensuring accessibility. So it's all fun. So focused use of functional technology, focused use of utility and design, focused use of narrative, so the time you spend in class. It all goes to lead to the SSF, Single Screen Framework. Okay. Thank you very much for being able to join me or watch the presentation today. I hope you found it interesting. This is just a short bibliography that with links that you may like to look at. But anyway, all informing SSF. Thank you very much for attending this presentation. Once again, apologies for the fact that I can't join you today. If you do have any questions, please email me. My email is down here. You can see my university email address. But if you take a picture of the QR barcode, or if you scan it, this should take you to a direct link to my email. So thank you very much. Bye.